When Kofi saw his wife's ghost kneading dough in the moonlight, he knew no ordinary magic was at work, and he feared what would come next. In the little village of Abena, life moved as predictably as the sun. At dawn, goats bleated, smoke curled from clay chimneys, and voices rose in prayer. Yet for Kofi, a traveling merchant, each sunrise felt heavy. His wife, Amma, had died 5 years before, leaving him with only memories and a lonely house. Kofi sold cloth and beads in towns far and wide. He came home once every few months, but he always fell out of place in Abena. Villagers whispered that he had grown soft, that without Amma's sharp eyes, his heart had shrunk. He laughed off their talk. He still made good deals. But inside, he ached for Amma's laughter, her scolding when he brought home strange fabrics. One evening, weary from a long journey, Kofi arrived at the old market square. A new bakery stood where the millet stall used to be. A small sign read, Amma's Hearth, fresh bread all day. His breath caught. He rubbed his eyes. Could it be? He walked closer. Inside, the bakery glowed warm. Loaves of sweet potato bread and cassava rolls filled woven baskets. And there, behind the counter, stood a woman who looked exactly like Amma. Same bright eyes, same braided hair, same way of folding her hands. But she did not speak. Instead, she smiled and handed him a warm bun. Kofi gripped the bun. Its sweetness stung like a memory. He wanted to call her name, but his throat closed. The woman simply nodded, as if she knew him. Outside, the moon rose, pale and cold. He paid with coins he always carried for Amma's grave. The ghost woman tucked them into a clay pot. Then she vanished into the back room. Kofi stumbled home, bread in hand, mind whirling. That night, he dreamed of Amma. She sat on their old wooden stool, rolling dough with her bare hands. Her face was calm, but her eyes held sorrow. "Why have you come back?" he asked in the dream. She looked up. "To teach you, Kofi." He woke with a start. The thorny scent of dough hung in his nostrils. The next morning, Kofi marched to the bakery. He wanted answers. He stepped inside. The bell jingled, but the shop was empty. No bread on the shelves, no scent of baking, just silence. He turned to leave, then heard soft footsteps behind him. He spun around. Amma stood there again, as real as any living soul. She pointed to a door at the back. Kofi swallowed his fear and followed. In the room, a single fire burned under a large pot. A small table held a mixing bowl with flour and water. Amma dipped her fingers into the bowl, shaped a small ball, and set it on a wooden plank. She worked without words for what felt like hours. Finally, she wiped her hands and faced him. "Tell me," she whispered, voice echoing like wind through trees. "Why do you wander so far when home needs you?" Kofi's chest tightened. He thought of the market, the gold he earned, the praise he received. But at home, he had only echoes. He shrugged. "The road calls me. Trade feeds your memory." Amma's eyes glowed. "Bread feeds the soul. You left Abena to chase coins, not love. You looked for value in distant towns, yet you lost sight of where you belong." Kofi lowered his head. She held out the dough. "Knead it, then you will learn." He took the dough. It was cool, slightly sticky. He pressed and folded. With each fold, memories surfaced. Her warning when he nearly fell into the river, her scolding when he brought home spoiled yams, her laughter when he danced in the rain. He pressed harder, and tears mixed with flour. When he rose, the dough felt smooth, light. Amma took it and placed it near the fire. Flames licked its edges, and soon the scent of baking filled the room, warm, earthy, sweet. "It's time," she said. Kofi left the bakery at dawn carrying a basket of warm loaves. Word spread through Abena that the missing merchant had returned, and not with beads or cloth, but with bread. Curious villagers lined the dusty road. Children ran after him, asking for a taste. Old men scratched their chins. Women lifted babies' chins and smiled. By midday, Kofi's basket was empty. He felt something new, joy in simple giving. He returned home where the door hung crooked. He put fresh bread by Amma's grave, cleaned weeds from the path, and sat on the bench she once painted. He closed his eyes, breathing in the sweet crust. That night, he dreamed again. Amma stood in the courtyard, a loaf in each hand. "You remember now," she said, handing him a loaf. "Feed your village and you feed yourself." She vanished into moonlight. For weeks, Kofi baked each morning. He gave bread to the smith, to the school teacher, to children begging by the river. He tied flour sacks to his donkey, rode into nearby villages, and traded bread for wood, for milk, for simple favors. People spoke of the merchant with the baker's heart. His cloaks and beads still paid bills, but his heart had found a new rhythm. One evening, the bakery door creaked. A stranger stepped in, a tall man with tired eyes. He held out a sack of rice. "I heard you bake the best bread," he said. "My daughter is sick. I have no coins, but I have rice." Kofi smiled. "We trade." He gave the man a fresh loaf. The man bowed and left with tears. Kofi wiped his hands on his cloth. The wood felt whole again. Months later, an old woman arrived on a donkey cart. She paused before Kofi's home and whispered the name Amma. He guided her inside. She carried a broken pot, Amma's old cooking pot. She said she was the woman who sold pots in the market when Kofi married. She and Amma were cousins. She died, the woman said softly, "but her heart lives in every loaf you bake. I saw her in your dreams." She smiled. "She taught you well." Kofi took the pot, placed it on the hearth. He bowed his head. Moral lesson: true wealth lies not in distant journeys or piles of coins, but in the love and care we share at home. Feed your own village first, and your heart will return full.